Hello everyone and welcome to my new channel. Today I'm going to talk about something I call the diagnostic mind, or how to be really good with fixing printers. Now this is something that seems to come naturally to me, but it doesn't come naturally to everybody else. So I'm going to explain it and hopefully you guys can have a better life. This is something that I don't understand why people don't know how to do it. People who are good with printers didn't go to printer fixing school, they didn't go to photocopier training school. Like, they are exactly the same as you, except for something that they do in their minds. So if we all had this thing in our minds, maybe it would be easier to get on with technology. The crucial first step is you decide you're going to deal with the problem. I think that is the biggest step that you can take in how to fix a printer. You have to not just be like, oh my god, I don't know, someone else will fix it. Side note, I think this is a reason that people, when they have children, they say, oh, it completely changed my life and there's nothing like having a child. I think that one of the big things about having a child is that there is no other person that's going to fix it. It's you who has to fix it. And you get forced by the fact that you have like a completely helpless baby in front of you to actually do something. All it did was force you, by having a baby, to stop being a baby. And it's possible to not be a baby without having to like literally push one out. Let's take that skill. All the parents probably have that skill. Let's decide that we're gonna try to fix this printer. First step after that is the diagnostic mind. People try to illustrate the diagnostic mind, or I sometimes call it the engineering mind, with flow diagrams. So the flow diagram has a box in it that is a question, and then there's a little arrow and it says yes or no. Then the flow diagram carries on with loads and loads of questions until you reach an answer. So this is all that a person who is good with printers is doing in their minds. They're asking themselves questions so that they can get information about the problem. That's all you have to do, is stand in front of the thing and try to get information out of it. Now, the questions in your mind are quite a hard step. I understand that. Probably you've seen in comedy sketches, have you turned it off and on again? Now, this is a joke because it's so common, but honestly, it's a really basic one to ask, because sometimes turning it off and turning it back on like actually fixes the problem, and nobody seems to think of that as a question. Like, it should be your first question, like, have you turned it off and on again? Like, that is a classic mechanical question that will absolutely fix 80, maybe even 90% of the problems with anything like technical, especially if it's electricity powered. That's why IT is like, have you turned it off and on again? And so I have to be on the phone being like, yes, I have turned it off and on again, because I'm not all those idiots. I'm the good with printers person. That is a really good first question to do. If you see someone else fix a printer, the first question you can have is like, is it that problem that I saw that other time where that person fixed it? Is it that thing? Was it whatever it was? I don't know. Maybe the paper was jammed. So you can just be like, is the paper jammed? Other things you can ask yourself are, does it say what the problem is? Modern machines have a screen on them that says what's wrong with them. Is there a way that this printer can magically tell me what's wrong? Just like a baby. Like, is it crying? Look at the screen, and then the screen will say what's wrong with it. It'll say paper jam. Open tray 2 and relieve jam. And you're like, wow, okay, right, tons of information now. You can look, then you have to look at the printer again. Like, this is a big deal. Don't just open anything randomly. Like, don't just be like, oh my god, like flipping things up and down. I've watched people do this where they flip things up and down. It's like, it says tray 2. See if tray number 1 and tray number 2 are in any way marked. 100 times out of 100, like always, this is how these things are manufactured. There is tray 1 and tray 2 marked on the outside of wherever tray 1 and tray 2 actually are. So you open the right one, and then you look again. You have to look at it. Don't just try and stick your hands in there blindly. Look at it first. Okay, and then you can normally see the paper jam, and then you pull the paper out, and then you're done. Other questions that you can ask yourself sometimes get a little bit meta. These questions, yeah, kind of relate a little bit more to the nature of life, which is why I can say that, like, we do philosophy all the time. This is going to be a big thing on my channel. You're always doing philosophy. At least once a day, I would say you have to think a philosophical question. So a classic philosophical question with printers, before you even start, is how do I know that the printer is broken? And I think sometimes you know that the printer is broken by your colleague telling you that it's broken. Now, you need to be deeply suspicious of this because, again, most people are idiots. So if a colleague told you it was broken, go and ask them how they know it's broken. By the way, philosophers call that epistemology. How do you know what you know? Because I'm sure they'll say, oh, it's just broken. Like, they'll have made an assumption, like their knowledge hasn't come from a good place. They just tried to print something and then it didn't print. I mean, maybe they didn't even do that. But there's a lot of ways in which this knowledge is deeply suspicious. Like, there have been times when I have gone to fix a printer and it hasn't even been broken. The person printed it to the wrong printer that's on the other side of the office, and there it is in the other printer. Or they didn't even press print. They just like forgot. They just thought they had printed. So go and check how you know. Or, you know, if you don't want to upset your colleagues by calling them idiots, which, you know, I've tried to learn, you go and look at the printer and be like, is it broken? Try and print something yourself. The kind of background question you should always be asking yourself is the printer actually even broken? You can ask yourself further metaphysical questions to give yourself courage. You know, like, has the printer ever worked? This printer? Because it's possible it's been broken forever. It's always been that way. Someone just got confused and thought that it was a working printer because it sat in your office. But sometimes it isn't. Also, you can ask yourself, has anyone ever fixed printers? That can just give you courage, because you can think, actually, non-trained personnel, ordinary people, have fixed printers before. I hope I showed that all you have to do is decide that you're going to be responsible for this problem, or at least try. You know, that'll put you above 90% of the other people in the office, and this is the way to superhero powers. Just try to fix it. Like, nothing's bad's gonna happen. Secondly, you need to ask yourself a series of questions so that you can get information about the problem. Thirdly, you need to try to answer those questions. So you need to try to get the information, but don't forget that a negative answer is also a kind of an answer. Is that all I have to say about printers? Probably. Just try. Just give it a go. Like, you don't have to have a baby to stop being a baby. Thanks, everyone. See you next week. Yeah, everyone's terrified standing in front of a broken printer. Like, nobody knows what to do, but the only way to take any action is be like, okay, let's find out some more information about the problem.